I recall a conversation I had with a friend back in my freshman year of college in California, Cameron. He asked me where I was from, and I told him that I was born and raised in Honolulu, Hawaii. He replied with excitement and told me that he was from the Midwest and had never been to Hawaii but would love to go. When I asked Cameron in return where he was from, he told me Indiana. The word was almost foreign to me, and many questions came to my head, such as, where is Indiana anyway? But my one clear thought was that I would most likely never visit Indiana. Ever. Fast forward 5 years later, and I didn't just visit, I live in Indiana. This place that I call home, Purdue University, is where I am a graduate student in the Brian Lamb School of Communication, dreaming of both a master's degree and a broadcasting career. Since being a Purdue student here, many people have shown the exact same excitement and surprise that Cameron did, with the most common question being asked, why did you leave Hawaii? The truth is, when my schoolwork is difficult, or when it's like this outside, I wonder the same thing. But I have found a community here made up of local and Polynesian students at Purdue. This makes me feel like I belong. This is Hawaii, for real. Sheridan Akis is a graduate student who was born in Hawaii but raised in the South. Although she grew up away from her native Hawaiian family, her mother kept her close to her native Hawaiian heritage throughout her life. This is her story.
You just kind of like drop the bomb that you are something, right? And I don't bring it up because it's not something everyone needs to know. My dad is native Hawaiian and my mom is white, and so I was born in Honolulu and we lived there for 4 years, and then my parents got divorced, and so my mom got custody of me. My dad actually signed away his parental rights. So this is a long and convoluted story behind all of that. But so the end story is that my mom and I moved to North Carolina, where she's from, where her parents are from. And so my dad stayed behind in Hawaii and we left. And so I feel like that was hard, right? Because you get all those things where my mom has been kind of putting these smaller things in context of my life, like the bracelet and the ulis and all those cool things, but then I've been really disconnected because I was raised with the white side of my family, which is awesome. They were amazing. They were so wonderful. I mean, I can't say enough good things, but there's a part of me that feels like I missed out on something that could have been, like I missed out on a part of my culture. I was talking in just like a very professional setting, and I was telling someone about a story and something that happened to me, and I was like, yeah, I'm a part of an indigenous group on campus, and we hang out and talk about this kind of stuff, and blah, 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 this and this. And so after the conversation that I was having, someone walked up to me, and they were like, I didn't know you were native. Where are you from? I'm like asking all these questions, and sometimes I can't tell. And maybe I'm just not good at reading people like that, but sometimes I can't tell if they're like trying to like be like, oh, they're trying to fit me into something, or if they're actually inquisitive, or if they're actually curious. So I think it's the way they come off, like, oh, I didn't know that, or oh, that's so cool, like, can you tell me more about it, right?
Michelle Ohumukini is a part Native Hawaiian student who was born and raised in Utah. Her father, who taught Hawaiian dance, also taught her Hawaiian values and traditions. She brings this upbringing and Hawaiian knowledge to the Purdue Hawaii Club.
I'll say my full Hawaiian name. It's Michelle Kanoelehua Ohumukini. And I was raised Hawaiian in Utah on the mainland. And it's interesting, my journey actually has brought me to where I am today. So I was taught to dance, and dancing, we were hit with like rulers and stuff, and we had to dance with books on our heads, and like the very traditional aspect of kahiko, making sure you don't bounce at everything. We learned how to play all the instruments. I didn't learn the language as much. That wasn't something that I enjoyed, and as I got older, I didn't enjoy being on stage. It's weird as a Polynesian, you don't want the attention on you, but I really don't like the attention on me. And so I decided to start heading towards sound. How things started working, someone always had to do the sound for all of the luau's we did. And we did a ton of luau's, from 50 people to 500. We danced in front of 10,000 people alongside the Beach Boys and just different aspects like that on the mainland. And so that actually is how I got into sound, which is why now I'm in sound for theater. Great thing about being in theater and being a techie is that everyone knows if you're a techie, you don't want to be on stage. Like, there's a reason you chose that route. However, if you were to tell me I had to act in front of someone versus dancing, I'd choose dancing any day because I've done it for so long. And acting is, I'm totally not okay with acting. But as far as dancing, like, I do it out of love. And I always went to practice and stuff, but it was because I loved it, not because I had to go in front of people and show it off type thing, if that makes sense.
Darius Kavevehi is the president of the Purdue Hawaii Club and was inspired to revive the Purdue Hawaii Club due to his Hawaiian upbringing by his adoptive father and mother in Ewa Beach, Hawaii.
Even though I'm not native Hawaiian, I still feel that connection to the culture. I still feel the pain that a lot of native Hawaiians felt during the time Queen Liliuokalani was overthrown. Like, I still feel that pain because I grew up in Hawaii my entire life, and that's just where I'm from. So that's still very rooted within me, and I can see that connection to my native Hawaiian counterparts as well, my friends. My dad is 75% native Hawaiian. My mom is actually half Native American and half Caucasian.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Actually, my dad's is native Hawaiian and Chinese. So 75% Hawaiian, 25% Chinese.
Oh, that's so cool. Chinese and Hawaiian just
Yeah.
go together.
But I was actually to answer your question, I was very aware of being adopted. I entered the foster care system at 4 years old, and I was in foster care for about 8 years, so I didn't get adopted until about 13, so 7th grade. And I was very aware of my culture to that point. But growing up in Hawaii, it doesn't really matter what your cultural background is. I mean, it matters to an extent where you kind of bring that to the table. But with Hawaii's diverse population, all of that culture kind of creates its own culture, if that makes sense. Like, Hawaii, you have native Hawaiian culture, is how I define it. And then you have modern, contemporary Hawaii culture, which is a mixture of all those countries that came to Hawaii during the sugarcane plantation and even a little bit before that. And so you have this huge melting pot of culture. And then tied in the middle is native Hawaiian culture, which you'll still see throughout areas in Hawaii, especially on different islands. You'll still see that culture has a really strong tie.
But it's weird in the sense of I'm finding a whole new identity about myself. And so people learn about this and they're like, oh, you're Hawaiian? You don't look Hawaiian. And I'm like, oh, well, do you know what Hawaiians look like? And they're like, no, but I've seen cartoons. I'm like, okay, well, there's maybe you should go to Hawaii because there's it's just a total mix of so many different cultures. There's Chinese, Japanese, just Hawaiian, all kinds of Asians, Tahitians, blacks, everything, all there. I mean, and so whites, everything, everything. So just because you look a certain way doesn't define who you are.
Try my best to not be so quick to judge someone just on the way they speak or the way they look or something based on their culture or whatever. Because of course, yes, sometimes to an extent you can pick up on someone's culture by the way they speak. If they speak English as their second language. I try not to judge that because most of my friends back home, most of them being Filipino, speak English as their second language. So I was used to that. I grew up with that. I mean, I heard Filipino being spoken, Korean, Japanese, Hawaiian, Portuguese. I hear all these languages every day. And coming here to Purdue, I don't hear it. I don't hear all those languages in particular, but just being around other people that are second language or English as their second language, I'm used to that. And so when I'm hearing people in my lecture halls making comments about professors saying, oh, my professor, he doesn't speak English that well, I look at it from the perspective he's here in America teaching physics in English, which is his second language or third. Like, people don't have as clear of a mindset as that. They kind of lose sight of that. They just judge the person because their English is bad, they're dumb, or they can't teach. But you can't fault them for that, you know what I mean? Like, you kind of have to really have an open mindset about that. You can't really just be so quick to judge that.
Yeah, there's a lot of stereotypes actually, especially from different Disney movies or things that they may or may not have seen. It's a lot of the Oana or the modern aspect that people are like, oh, you're Hawaiian, get up and dance for me. And although I know how to dance and I thoroughly enjoy doing it for the practice and the art of it, I don't enjoy dancing in front of major groups of people.
A background that I had as a child, I needed to, ensure that I can test myself that I could be fine independently. And so the best way for me to do that was to be in a completely different state, away from home, I can't just drive home. Like, a lot of people here can just drive home. I can't do that. I mean, I have to fly on an airplane, and it takes 9 hours or whatever, so that ensured that I have that disconnect from my family, and I'm really just growing up on my own. So that's one reason. Another reason is I have traveled to the mainland in the past. I've traveled to New York, to California. I went to different states in the past for different amounts of time. And just being able to go out there and see something different, you learn something. Even if you're there for a few hours or a few days or a few weeks, I mean, you really get to learn something and see new people, learn new things, get different perspectives. And to go to college for 4 years and do that, you really get to learn. And not only about what's out there in the world, but you really learn about yourself. Because you discover things that you can do and things that you can't do, and you only can get that challenge when you're away from a comfortable place, away from home.
My mom loves California. She loves the beach. She loves Hawaii, So we went to California, and there's a lot of Hawaiian culture in California, actually, because people go back and forth really easily. And so we bought a lot of pictures and stuff that's significant to Hawaii, and perfumes and stuff that you can really only get in Hawaii, but people bring to, to California and stuff like that. So to be in California and to see those things, okay, fine, that makes sense. Like, obviously, they're fairly close. You fly into LA, you go to Honolulu, whatever. Yeah, okay, sure. But to be in West Lafayette, in the middle of nowhere, I mean, really, and to be learning about my culture is just kind of the last thing I expected. And it really is so weird the way that it fell into this. Someone was in my department, and they were Native, and they were like, oh, we're going to the Native Community Center. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I'd like to stop by sometime. And they're like, are you Native? And I was like, yeah, I'm Native Hawaiian, but it's not anything I've ever really connected with. And they're like, oh my gosh, you should come to the Native Center. And so I went to the Native Center, and then I got started hanging out with all the people from Sloan, and I started really learning, which, I mean, so weird. In California, I'd expect it. In Indiana, no way.
And, not having that cultural connection that I had, but still keeping myself within the community here, like making myself feel like I have a place to belong. And so that's actually the best way to transition yourself between major parts of your life. Just find a community that you can click with, that you can communicate with and feel comfortable with, and that'll ease a lot of the anxiety some people have with moving.
It's an island culture, so when people leave that island culture, they go and find other little groups wherever they are. You could have a Tahitian group in the middle of Illinois, or like the Hawaii Club in the middle of Indiana. So just all these little things. I don't know, I'd like to learn about it and then kind of immerse myself. But yeah, there are lots of things that I want, but I definitely feel that pull to go back and to just learn. I know my old address, and I know where I was born, and I know I have family there, and there are so many things that I want to learn and see and be a part of, but I just don't know. I wonder sometimes.
Never tried to connect with anybody else because all my friends that were from Hawaii all left. They all graduated or they happened to just move back home. So to me, in my eyes, I was the only student here from Hawaii, in my eyes, in my personal connections.
I thought I was the only Polynesian here on campus, not even just Hawaiian, just the only Polynesian. And when I found out about it, I was like, what? There were more of us? I want to get involved. Like, how do I get there? Sadly, with being in grad school, I haven't been as involved as I would like, but being able to just, talk about Spamusubi or like the things that I miss from home or even being around my dad cooking, it's just like it was great because other people understand me and understand why I miss it. It's not like other people being like, why would you eat spam musubi? Like, what is spam musubi? Like, so, I mean, and then sushi, like I love sushi and stuff like that. So it's great to be around other people who know, because then when I say I miss this, they're like, yeah, or this from home, or, like the Kanoelehua bakery or just things like that. They get the context of it, so.
Yes, for me personally, I would say that the reason why I re-established Hawaii Club, it's been in existence since the 70s here at Purdue, and after my sophomore year with the club being disbanded or whatever, I really felt that sense that I really wanted to have the club back, because I studied abroad in Ireland for 4 months and I got all those questions about Hawaii, are you a country, so I got all these curious questions, and it really brought to mind that I never advocated when I was in Purdue. Granted, my friends in my Navy program knew a lot about Hawaii because I talked about it all the time. I even cooked for them a few times when I was, growing up in my sophomore year and my freshman year. But I never advocated for the culture. And so I wanted to try to reach back out to other students from Hawaii in order to create a core group that would be willing and able to go out and advocate teaching about Hawaii.
Yeah. Okay. 4 counts. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. It's gonna be grab, war, grab, down, up, grab, quality, grab, love. Okay. Yeah.
Manuha Lepeña was born and raised in Papata Village on the island of Tahiti, and he came to West Lafayette so that he could be with me as I went to graduate school at Purdue. Manuha has been the Tahitian dance teacher to the men in the Purdue Hawaii Club this semester, and he even came with me to Chicago, where we had a cultural exchange with Kumu Lanialoha Lee.
From there,
Morning, Andy. Good morning. How are you? Good.
Auntie Lanialoha is my inspiration for teaching the Tahitian culture and the Tahitian dance to the Purdue Hawaii Club. She is a musician and kumu of both Hawaiian Mele and hula. Auntie Lanialoha, to me, is the reason why the Chicago community can experience authentic Polynesian culture. Auntie taught me that teaching the Tahitian culture was my kuleana, as probably one of the only Tahitian in West Lafayette, or maybe in all Indiana. Auntie Lanialoha's grandmother from Hawaii showed Auntie her personal kuleana in Buffalo Grove, Illinois.
We're supposed to be taking great care of our kupuna, and the younger we are, the more we should be doing the heavy work. And to take our children through the same steps, otherwise they will never know that that's what we're supposed to do. So to instill those values to the point where later on we know that this is our kuleana now, and that we have to take on this task and not be told, not be reminded, but we know.
It helps me feel close to my culture because I'm out there and demonstrating it, because it's not something I got to do. I never had the opportunity growing up to do the Tahitian dancing or hula dancing, and for me to be a senior here in college and being able to showcase that to an audience that's not familiar with it, like really helps me embrace the culture. It makes me feel like I'm out there living it, if that makes sense, not just teaching about it and with my words, but with my body and my actions and dancing. I mean, really got to feel like I embodied the culture today, and I hope that I got to make people and my friends and family back home proud, and of course my friends and family here too. I was pretty shocked because I only started learning it since, last semester, so I don't have a lot of experience, dancing hula or Tahitian in general. I have been doing a lot of dancing since I was growing up, like break dancing or hip hop dancing, but this is very different, but something that hits close to home because it's something I've always wanted to do. Definitely why I felt that I wanted to get up on stage, and you know what, like it's my last year, like why not? In Loeb Theater, which is where we're going to be on April 11th anyway, so try to get that experience for the club and tell them, hey, it's not so bad. The stage is really nice, and once you get up there and you're out there dancing, I mean, just put it out there on the stage and just have fun with it. That's the main thing, I'd say. I think my favorite part was when we pulled people on stage and we got to teach people how to do the dances, and they got really excited about it and cheering and everything. So I thought it was a really good fun time. In one way, it like helps me make sure I get my homework done on time or early enough so I can go to dance practice or go to performance or something. So it kind of helps me manage my time in a bit, but it also makes me more busy than I already am. But overall, I mean, one, I'm exercising, two, I'm like living the culture, and I just feel really good after. So I feel like if you have that mindset that you want to get out there and do it, then you'll balance everything else that comes along with it.
Now she's married to someone that is of Native Hawaiian descent, and so she got to meet all their family as well. And so when she was raising us, she really just opened up our minds, like, hey, don't judge someone just by the skin of their color or just by what race they are, because everyone has a story to tell. Everyone has something to contribute and offer in the world. And so just having that mindset when you're going out about your day in your classrooms, I mean, you look at a Hawaii style classroom and you like take a picture of our classrooms, I mean, the diversity is insane, like how diverse our classrooms are. And I think just having that background in the home front is really important to carry that on through the rest of your life, through your classes, through your job or whatever. You tend to look at the world with more of an open mind. And for someone to be willing to open up their home and take care of you and love you like their own blood, that's family. And so that's what really resonates as Ohana, and that's what Native Hawaiian culture is.
Each student's Ohana is their connection to their culture, and now they have found an Ohana or family here at Purdue. There are other students who share similar stories to me, and there are those whose stories are much different than mine. But we all share a common goal: to truly identify with our Hawaiian and Polynesian culture and represent it on Purdue's campus.
Yeah,